Hey trappers, one of the most asked questions that I get a lot of times after making these YouTube videos is questions about trap treatment and using what I use as Formula One. So I thought I'd take some time to make a little video here just kind of describing this product and kind of the benefits of it and why I use it. First off, like I said, it's called Formula One. It's made in multiple different colors. I usually use black, but Newt Sterling is the man who produces this product. Snare One out of Port Republic, New Jersey. And he also makes a brown color, which it's a really good color for water trapping, or if you are setting, winter traps for canines and you're covering with grass or hay. It almost turns out to be like an OD green type of color, and it really blends in with the surroundings. I'm sure if somebody using snares would really like that color too. That would be dipping snares in it. But for general land trapping, I use black. And like I said, it is made by Snare One, Newt Sterling, out of Port Republic, New Jersey. It's pretty simple directions. I'll go over this a little bit also when I actually show you me actually dipping some traps in it. But you mix it 2 parts water to 1 part Formula One. So when I make it, I always get a gallon. Dump this gallon in a clean 5-gallon bucket, fill it up with water, this bucket up with water twice, and dump that in the 5-gallon bucket and mix it up. Before you dip, stir it up, mix it up real good, let the bubbles clear away, because they can make a bit of a mess if there's a lot of bubbles in your dip. And just go ahead and dip. And I always dip in the summertime. I never really tried it, in the spring, fall, or winter. But Newt recommends that the air should be at least 50 degrees for best results. But like I said, I always am doing it in the midsummer time, and it's always hotter than the blue blazes out there. So, but yeah, that's really all you need to know about the product. Everything is right on the directions. I'll mention this again, I'm sure, throughout this video, but you cannot let the product freeze. I did that once, and it basically ruins the dip. But okay, now I'll talk now about why I use Formula One and the benefits of it. Well, one thing I like about it, and I have nothing against dyeing and waxing. Dyeing and waxing is the old standard, the old standby. It works great, and thousands upon thousands of animals have been caught using dye and wax. The real negatives, there are a few negatives to dye and wax. One, it's more labor intensive than a lot of the other methods, and that's no secret. Everybody knows that. It does produce a great looking product, a dye and wax trap. But the other issue some folks have with wax is wax does hold odors. So you can run into a chance of having, some sort of scent or odor problems, contaminating your wax. But I personally am not one to worry about that a whole lot. But for me, the biggest issue is my traps are all tuned to work perfectly without wax. If the way my traps are tuned, if they were wax, the pound tension would be far lighter, and they'd be far more of a hair trigger than I would actually want them. The thing about wax is when you wax a trap and put it out there, everything that happens to that trap after it's put out in the ground is going to create a little bit more pan tension. And this isn't really a problem with your standard nut and bolt pan and dog systems, but any type of system that relies on some sort of friction you know, with to create pan tension, such as dogless traps or posi-trip traps or posi-trip pans, which are on some very popular models of traps, the MB550, the Duke 550. Anytime, you know, and then once that wax is removed, your pan tension goes up. I know that's something that Kendall Obermeyer sells, the KO traps, and his traps come coated, you know, from him from stock. But you know, he recommends to get the pan tension on to actually add a little bit of wax, and that's good advice. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I personally don't really want to have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about what level of wax is on my trap when I when I set it, if my pan tension is going to be too high or too low. And I started with cold dips, and I continue to use cold dips, and I used to use a product called Aaron's Dip. It was a wonderful product. It was great, and it was 1,000 times better than any other gas dips on the market. Unfortunately, it's not available to us anymore. So this Formula One is what I found to be the next best thing. But the Aaron's was good stuff, and I have no use for any of the other gas-based dips on the market. I had too much bad luck with them. They get sticky, they get gooey, and I've even had them never dry right and actually have canines digging at them and issues like that. I've never had that problem with Aaron's, and I've never had that problem with Formula One. There's a lot of really good trappers out there that are using Formula One. So yeah, so that's kind of why. And hey, I do dye and wax traps. Every mink trap I own gets dye and wax. So I'm surely not against the process, but I'm doing that to make that trap super fast and to really lower that tension for mink. But until I see a reason to, I like the Formula One, and I don't see any reason to change into or going back to dye and wax or whatever, like some guys, you know, a lot of guys are doing. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just for somebody who wants an alternative. You know, if you like dyeing and waxing, that's great. But there's people who want an alternative to that, and that's what I'm trying to explain how the Formula One product works for me. There was one other complaint I've been hearing about Formula One compared to some other methods, and that is, let's face it, when you make catches in the field, whether you're using Formula One, you're using dye and wax, you're using speed dip or any other type of cold dip, or really any other treatment, even paint, although paint's a little tougher than some of the treatments, but over time it's going to wear off and you're going to get some rust. But I've heard people have the complaint about Formula One that a little bit of rust will form under the dip. And I do not look at that as a negative. I never did. Big deal. I don't care. I don't want an orange, you know, scaly rusted trap to put out there in the ground, you know, in case it would give off some sort of foreign odor. But a little bit of rust forming under the dip is not gonna cause you an issue. And actually, like I said, I think it's a benefit. And for the reason for that is, you ever go to a trapper's convention, go out over the tailgater section and look at all those old collector traps from the, you know, 1920s and 30s and even older than that? They have a patina on them. And you could take those old patina traps and throw them out in the weather, and it would take a good long while to get any type of new rust forming, orange, you know, surface rust. That patina actually protects them, and you need initial rust formation to form that patina. So that's one thing about the Formula One, is you'll get that with that little bit of rusting that'll happen under the Formula One. That patina will form over a period of time. It'll form much faster than if using trying paint or whatnot. Because the paint totally seals it in. If you're looking for zero rust, paint may be the way to go. But the problem is, the second the paint wears off, it rusts big time. Whereas with a trap with a rust patina, your treatment will wear off, and it really doesn't rust too bad, or that patina protects it. So yeah, like I said, I think I hit most of the points here. I'm gonna set the tripod up over the bucket and just show you how I dip one or two, but it's super simple. I don't know what else I could really touch on, but you know, as usual, if you have any questions, just put them in the comment section and I'll answer them best I can. Also, if you haven't followed or liked it on Facebook already, if you have Facebook, I have a Facebook page called TS Trapline. So check that out. Please like it and follow it. And I'm gonna post a lot of my YouTube videos on there, but I'm gonna put other stuff on there too. That if you like this content, you might be interested in that as well. So we're gonna go over the other part of my shed here, and I'll show you dipping a couple. And thank you for watching. All right, I store my Formula One mixture in a 5-gallon bucket with a lid, and I like to make it in a batch that fits in a 5-gallon bucket because it's very easy to get bigger traps and dip bigger traps. If you buy a quart and mix it with water and try to put it in a real small container, you're gonna regret it. It's just a pain in the butt to try to get a bigger trap like that fully coated and fully submerged in such a small container. So just make the initial investment, buy a full gallon of Formula One and mix up your product with water in a 5-gallon bucket that you can put a lid on it. In case you're one not to really read directions, Formula One should not freeze. I made that mistake one time. I left my bucket out in my shed over winter and it froze and it totally ruins it. Now this bucket I've been using, probably 6, 7 years, 8 years, maybe longer, I don't know. I do my dipping in the summertime, usually around July. Right now it's August. I'm a little bit late getting at it this year. And when I'm done dipping for the year, it goes into my basement where it's not going to freeze. Like I said, just keep a lid on it. Now this is the trap we're going to do. This was coated, made a few catches last year. It's a Duke 550. I have replacement chain on there as a side note. JC Connor swivel off the base, number 2 twist link, heavy duty swivel, more number 2 twist link, and the JC Connor rod swivel for the end. I really like those to hook up to my quick links. Like I said, this was dipped before. I mean, it saw some action last year. There's some teeth marks on it and bite marks and some rust and whatnot. And to use Formula One, it's pretty simple. All you do, I use a black or blue nitrile glove to dip. Just totally submerge it, pull it out, and look how nice and black that got. Now, the only negative I would say to Formula One versus the gas-based dips, it is a little bit messier. It does not evaporate as quickly, so it drips longer. There's a little bit more waste, but on the flip side of that is you never have to worry about a sticky, gooey mess on your traps. But like I said, that's one dip on a already used a pre-treated trap, that was used a couple seasons. That's all you really need to do is one dip. Now, sometimes I will go, if I have time, I'll give them the second coat. Because my Formula One may be a little bit thinner. I add a little water after, and I just as soon prefer to just give them 2 quick coats. But one coat is sufficient. Now, new traps, when you first get a new trap, here's a new MB450 Fox. I use these areas where I think I might have a run-in with landowners' dogs. The landowners want me there. They want me trapping, but they do have dogs that do a little bit of roaming. And this MB450 Fox is really light springs. So for a landowner that might not be real familiar with traps, they can actually open these springs, and if they have to, get their dog out fairly easily. But I don't own a lot of them, but the MB450 Fox traps are a pretty good tool, you know, when you're in areas where you got to be a little discreet and worry about, you know, pets or whatnot. A landowner has a dog that they don't always have tied up or in the house. So new traps, you do the exact same way. The only difference is, because there's no rust, no patina on them, some of that Formula One is, a lot more of that Formula One is going to drip off. It is coated, there is protection there, but I might dip them maybe 4 times when they're brand new, and just to get a nice black, you know, base coat on there. But then after, you know, after that initial treatment, you really only have to, you know, dip them once. But like I said, there is protection there, but I like a little bit thicker coat, so I'll just dip them about 4 times. Hang this one up. Now one more Duke 550 right here. Same trap as we did before. I've actually seen some guys make collection systems where they hang the traps over, and where the excess Formula One drips off into a collection system to minimize the waste a little bit. But look how nice and black that trap is. Yeah, that's one thing about a black trap. A lot of people are painting their traps fancy colors nowadays, but black really stands out in nature. The color black really stands out. And if you have a snap trap, you can see a good dark coal black trap way off in the distance there. I never really saw the need to paint traps yellow or orange or pink or blue, or black always did it for me. And plus, when I buy traps, I'll pay a lot more money for a trap that's black than something that has some kind of paint slapped on it. But hey, that's just my personal preference. All right.